Hi, this is Eric Schroeder with Maine Masonry Heaters. StoveGuyEric@gmail.com. Today's video details us taking apart an 1850s central fireplace mass. In some ways it made me really sad to do this, but it was very interesting to go through brick by brick, take it apart, see how the flues were divided in the chimney, see how the flues connected from the smaller chimney to the bigger fireplace mass, and we just had a real good time going through discovering that. I wanted to share it with you all. I trust you'll enjoy it.
This whole fireplace mass is supported on this brickwork down the basement. It's one big barrel arch. Stone base where you get close to the ground where all the moisture will be. And you can see those are all buttresses.
Up here on the roof, the chimney, and some of these brick are coming out really clean, nice and easy, so that's cool.
Just a beautiful day to be working up on a roof in southern Maine. Let's go inside. Two vacuums running the whole time we were doing the demo, just constantly sucking as much of the grit as possible into themselves and out of the house. Me standing inside the chimney on the rubble to give you guys a view of one of the flues. At this point you can see that there's three flues. The biggest one is toward where the kitchen fireplace will be, and you can see the hallway upstairs just on the other side of that plaster, just on the other side of those brick. Just a single width of brick, nothing else, lime mortar. Presumably a hole there where a thimble connected in. This is the face that would have opened into the kitchen. Note there's been a retrofit at some time, probably in the 60s or 70s, of a smaller fireplace. If you ignore that, you're left with a very wide, very tall fireplace, 3 courses of brick, and then the wooden beam. The wooden beam is a really interesting little piece of engineering that you'll take a closer look at in a minute or two. Notice how the bricks start to step back immediately on top of the fireplaces, which shrinks the overall mass that has to go through the roof. That pin goes through the wood, down through 1, 2, 3 courses of masonry to support a piece of metal, and that keeps the structural element of the wood away from the fire. You can see it better there now that we've taken the brickwork out. You can see the pin holding the metal and just a whole mess of debris otherwise.
All right, so we have been tearing bricks down all day, and we have now gotten to the breast of what used to be, I think, the kitchen fireplace in this mid-1800s cape. We have found something very cool, and that is a second flue, right? You can see this wall separating a smaller flue from the large fireplace flue, which means that there is a possibility there's a beehive oven back in here. You see, this brickwork is much newer than the surrounding brickwork, and it may have been done at the same time that this second modern fireplace was put in. So it's possible that we'll find a little kitchen oven back in there or something. Stay tuned.
Right, can you imagine how much wood would have had to have been burnt through this thing to get the whole thing warm? Now, some of this was damaged before we got here when some updating had been done to the thing in probably the 1960s or 70s and new.
So we have found the bake oven, we have cleaned it off, and we've got a what's called a soldier course, these vertical bricks at the bottom that define the round shape. And then they're using full-size bricks for a few courses and just laying more mud on the outside of that brick than they did on the inside of that brick. And then at a certain point they switch to smaller pieces because they're getting tighter and tighter and tighter in their curve. And then at the top, they just have this goofy shape that they filled up with all sorts of rubble and mud. It works.
It's interesting to me to consider the beehive ovens and how that probably contributed more heat to the fireplace mass than some of the chimneys did. And in fact, when we look at the history of masonry heaters, some believe that they were derived from wood-fired ovens that the users observed became warm, and then they added more and more exhaust channels, and then over time the ovens became less oven-like and more firebox-like. Whether that's true or not, who can say? Here we see how they stepped the bricks back to get the flue gases to move together to form that chimney that's sort of on the back corner of the fireplace. You can really see the context of all the different parts together in this view. Now remember that that back wall there is from the rebuild that had been done in the 70s. And this gives you an overview of the whole thing, down about 3 feet high. There's a lot to think about with this project. We started finding pieces of granite in there. I'm surprised there weren't more of those actually. And we found this intriguing little box. It would have been under the bake oven and to the right side of the cooking fireplace. But it was very, very clean in there until we started to demo around it. Then it got dirty. And we finish with vacuum cleaners. This time they're sitting on the deck upon which we will build our masonry heater.
Cape with a big block of fireplace in the middle of it. This is probably quite what it looks like. If you have questions about masonry heaters, check out our website at www.mainemasonryheaters.com.